Okay. Good evening, everyone. I call this public meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors to order on Thursday, May 8th at 6:30 p.m. We have a full house here, and it's so great to see so many folks here in our boardroom, in our board meeting this evening. It's beautiful outside, as you all know, and so just the fact that you all are here, spending, giving us your time and your energy today, we're just so grateful and appreciative on behalf of the board. So thank you for those who are watching online as well. We are going to go ahead and get started. So I would first and foremost like to remind our community that the purpose of our board meetings is to conduct the business of the district first and for everyone to learn about the district in a safe and productive manner. So we are going to start with community comments. And community comments are an opportunity for our community to share their ideas and opinions with the board. Input is welcome and valued. It is our duty to keep it safe and respectful for everyone, and that includes our students, staff, and our community. This is not a time for discussion or debate. Letters to the board are always welcome, and each of us reads the input. Requests for information should be requested as outlined in policy KBA-AR. Any individual desiring to speak will have indicated their desire prior to the board meeting. Any individual with a disability will be given an equal opportunity to participate in board meetings. This may include someone speaking on their behalf if their disability or other medical needs limits their ability to attend in person. Board policy also speaks to accommodations available. A speaker will be required to give their name, city of residence, and the group, if any, that is represented. And if there are more patrons desiring to present comments than time is allotted, the board chair, that's me, has the authority to reduce the presentation time for individual speakers or institute a prioritization process with first priority given to students and city of residence. Speakers may offer objective criticisms of district operations and programs that are of a concern to them. The board is restricted from hearing and will not consider complaints regarding any individual district staff member or any person connected with the district. Comments that make a staff member identifiable to the public, even without their specific name, violate this policy. As an organization centered around youth and their positive development, all speakers will model respectful public comment and be mindful of civil discourse. And so now there are a few folks who are signed up to provide comments and got their names. So now I would like to welcome Eugene Gannon to please come up. Yes, yeah. You get the special seat in front. Sitting would be great, and then if you can turn the mic on, the green button will show.
Should be on.
Yes, yeah, we hear you. Great. So I'm just going to have you state your name, city of residence, group if you belong to a group, and then the clock will begin.
Perfect. Hello, my name is Eugene, pronouns he, him. I'm a senior at Clackamas High School, and I reside in Clackamas High School and Milwaukee. Perfect.
Oh, and yep, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Cool. I would like to use my 3 minutes to talk about implementing queer history into the curriculum that we currently have. To talk about a little bit of background, I myself am a transgender bisexual man. So this is something very personal and something that I am very passionate about. But I also very confidently believe that this benefits straight people and non-trans people as well, which brings me to my first point here of diverse education. I appreciate learning about history of identities of others that I don't personally relate to, and I know this is something that other people agree with. Learning about knowledge in school has halted stereotypes that have been formed or might stop someone from forming those harmful stereotypes already. It also corrects false information that people have learned from a less reliable source in a more structured environment such as a classroom. Unfortunately, my peers are not given the same opportunity when it comes to LGBTQ history. We have learned about so many other histories from so many different cultures, and I have been so enriched from that. And I feel like LGBTQ people deserve that same right as well. I firmly believe that BIPOC history is important and has prevented racism, bias, and allowed for sympathy to be there. Is an education that benefits all, because all people have felt this, whether you are included in this group or whether you are someone that is not included in this group but have learned to enrich your life through having different perspectives part of that. And I believe that that should be included here. I like to state a quote here from the National Council for Social Studies that says, quote, "The primary purpose of social studies is to help young people make informed and reasoned decisions for the public good as citizens of a culturally diverse, democratic society in an interdependent world." And I believe that there is much more difficulty in understanding our current world climate if we do not have the media literacy to know what is happening around us. And understanding the history of all people in this world and this environment is very important. So I'd like to point out that we are appreciative of what's been done so far, and that we are a more we recognize as a community other people of different backgrounds, but there is always more to do, and it is more important than ever that that is recognized and implemented as something that's strictly included. Which brings me to my second point of history is important. History is necessary, it affects current day, and negative things are happening to queer people now, currently, but it's not something that you hear about unless you are on the receiving end about, and that should be something that is talked about it, and also acknowledging the positive achievement that is made as well. Dr. Alan Hart was the first person to undergo top surgery. He pioneered the use of x-rays to detect tuberculosis. He was a trans man, and he was in Portland, and yet we don't know anything about this history here because it has not been mentioned. So in closing, there is no one way to teach history, and I'd like to point it out that we appreciate an effort more so than perfection. I hope that you can understand the effort made. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eugene.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And next signed up, we have Parker McCord. Like to welcome Parker. Hello. And same thing, if you can state your name for the record, city of residence, and group, if you have any, and then the clock will begin. Welcome.
Hi, yeah, so my name is Parker McCord. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a senior at Clackamas High School, and I live in Clackamas. All right. And I'm here to kind of go off of what Eugene was talking about as well, talking about the importance of LGBTQ plus history in our social studies classrooms. But first, we must understand the demographics and facts associated with this. Queer students make up roughly 7 to 10% of American youth, according to Pew Research. And in 2021, 48% of queer students in the United States were verbally harassed about their sexual orientation, according to the Trevor Project. And learning about queer history helps create safer spaces in schools and improves the mental health of queer students. And I have even seen this within myself. Researching queer history on my own has inspired my passion for learning and made me more invested in history. It has improved my self-worth and resilience and shown me that I am meant to be here on this earth. And I want to pass this on to other people as well. When queer inclusive history is implemented, research shows that classes see an increase in queer student attendance and grade point averages, and queer inclusive history benefits straight students as well. According to the Oregon Department of Education, it does this by helping foster a diverse environment, welcoming of many different perspectives and students with different self-expression. In Oregon, in fact, it is even state law to provide students with queer inclusive education. And this is something that I personally, me and others do not feel like we've really noticed in our classrooms. The Oregon Department of Education even put together a document created by their LGBTQ2SIA plus youth advisory group reviewing the successes and weak spots in queer student experience and teacher support in Oregon schools. And they concurred with my conclusion about the lack of queer inclusive history taught in Oregon schools and agreed that Including queer history in social studies curricula is greatly important. However, I also know that there can be logistical challenges associated with this, which is also greatly important to acknowledge, as it can be difficult for teachers to find queer inclusive teaching resources. And I have some potential solutions. I suggest that more teachers use resources such as GLSEN and History Unerased. These are two organizations dedicated to providing teachers with resources on how and what to talk about in regards to queer history to help include a vital 7 to 10% of their student population. In addition, for my AP research project this year, I created a curriculum using the inquiry design model that centers trans history and follows Oregon World History state standards, which I'm happy to distribute to world history teachers in our district. And I would like to ask one question. If we don't start pushing for queer inclusive history now, when will we? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I believe we have one person signed up online. Are they on? They're not. Okay. They're always encouraged to write, email, or submit something to us as well. So, okay. We are going to move on with our native land acknowledgement now, and Vice Chair Benaloga will lead the acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Molalla, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be a community on this land, and we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families both past and present, and that will affect those in the future, and honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Thank you. And now, please rise. Director Bauer will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, thank you. And now we are going to move on to our April 10th minutes. Not this board director, but our minutes. And in the board packet, you will find the minutes of the April 10th, 2025 meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Chairway, I move approval of the April 10th, 2025 minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Director Bauer and seconded by Director Dobson. Is there a discussion? Okay. I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All that opposed, please say no.
Ms. Paul?
And I apologize. Is Director Kemp on?
Yes, aye.
Oh, aye. Great. Okay. And the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, board. Moving on to our consent agenda. So in the board packet, you will find the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. The items on the consent agenda are employment changes, 2025-2026 board meeting calendar, and a travel request for the Clackamas High School speech and debate. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? And please read all of the items included.
Chair, I move board approval of the consent agenda, including employment changes, 2025-2026 board meeting calendar, and travel request for the Clackamas High School speech and debate.
Is there a second?
Second, Bauer?
Is there a discussion? Okay, seeing none, it's been properly moved by Director Benaloga and seconded by Director Bauer. I now call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, no. Okay, and the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Okay, Looks like we're a little bit ahead of our schedule for this evening. So I think the youth are ready for the next part. So next on the agenda is our Youth Equity Advisory Committee presentation. And I welcome our Chief of Student and Family Services, Dr. Kalia Williams Rodriguez, who will introduce our guests. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to see each and every one of you on this Thursday evening. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome our high school students. And I just wanted to be aware that although we have two of our high schools here, we have middle school students and high school students who are comprised of this committee. And certainly this work is not done alone. So Kim Amador at the other end is one of our facilitators alongside with me. And we get the pleasure of meeting with students. So as mentioned just a minute ago, these are some of the examples of our high school representatives. And we have two featured here tonight who will be speaking shortly. We as a committee, this is a couple of years we've been established, and certainly we are always highlighting the student experience and success. And I often say, whether you're 5 or 18, students often speak their truth, and they are here to share that with us this evening. Some of the themes from this year, we had some outcomes from last year, and this year one of the goals was to come before our school board representatives, and in addition, these are some themes that were highlighted of interest from the students that we were able to accomplish and will continue to work on. So I'm going to pause my voice, and I'm going to allow both Brittany and Gustavo to share what they have to say.
Okay, hello, I'm Brittany. I'm from Clackamas High School. So a few upcoming events that we think that the school board should know about is that our orchestra is heading to state next week on Wednesday at OSU. There's also tennis districts on the same day. And then tomorrow night at 6:30, we will be opening our Into the Woods musical. Also Saturday 6:30 and Sunday at 1 p.m. And same thing for next week as well. And then near the end of the year, we will have our senior awards assembly on June 6th, and then our graduation on June 10th.
Hello, I'm Gustavo Barraza. I go to Milwaukee High School. I'm a senior, and some of the recent events that I think the school should know about the upcoming events are the Mental Health Awareness Week, which will be happening during the week of May 19th all the way to the 23rd. And then, as many of you know, the year is coming to a close, so we're going to celebrate our seniors with their graduation assembly, and then also, of course, the graduation on June 10th. Along with that, track and tennis have districts this upcoming week, and Milwaukee High School is celebrating yet another prom this Saturday.
Okay, so some recent highlights and accomplishments at Clackamas. Again, our orchestra placed third at both our Scots Invitational and the Mount Hood Conference. Our band and choir also competed at the Mount Hood Conference as well. There's also this new friendly nonprofit competition at our school where there's these 3 nonprofits competing against each other to sell the most produce. I talked a little bit about healthier food options out of the virtual board meeting a few months ago, and how we want to expand the salad bar, and this is kind of our way to do so. So it's really exciting. We also, our dance and girls basketball also placed second at state.
Some recent highlights and accomplishments from Milwaukee High School include the theater program going to state, and they had several people place and qualify for regionals. Along with that, the spring musical is opening very soon, and choir is also going to state as of tomorrow, along with a few track athletes performing well enough to earn some state qualifying times and distances.
A few suggestions that our students came up with were AP study halls. SAT/ACT prep classes, replacing old water bottle fountains with water bottle refilling stations, and teachers understanding the difference between being laid back and letting their students chill in their classrooms and respecting their students in the actual classroom. To further explain that, there are a lot of students who skip class a lot, and that affects the attendance and their education. And oftentimes, teachers let those students hang out in their classes instead of sending them back to class. We understand, like, if it's a study hall and like they're just moving between other study halls where they're not disrupting the class, that's fine or more acceptable. But when students are trying to learn and really take advantage of their education, they have a hard time because of the distractions in class, it kind of gets frustrating a little bit.
As a committee, some of the ideas and suggestions that we've thought of for both the high school and the middle school level come from the student who we know is going to these schools. A lot of these students are coming from underprivileged backgrounds where they don't have a guaranteed meal at home. So their school breakfast and their school lunch is truly the only way that they're really going to be able to get through the day. So implementing things like a salad bar to make sure that everybody has healthy options and everybody always has a backup plan in case there is a lunch one day that they don't enjoy or they don't find satisfactory is very poignant. Along with that, keeping the breakfast section of the cafeteria open for the entirety of first period would guarantee that anyone with bus troubles wouldn't be limited or would have to skip that first period to enjoy their breakfast. They would be able to go to class and then come back almost as if nothing happened. We'd also like to point out the tension across the U.S. right now in regards to race, immigration, and things like that. So continuing to hire staff that comes from a diverse background so that people can feel safe and can feel comfort and emotional maturity from different people of different backgrounds, I feel like is very important. And along with that, hiring a therapist for students to book and sort of transition into adulthood would be very, very important.
We are available for discussion, and then we have something for the students at the end.
Thank you so much. I know myself and our other board members were taking down a lot of notes, especially around the improvement section. So really want to just appreciate you both for being here, for just also volunteering your time and your energy and just your experience and input on this committee. So thank you so much to you both. I have a couple of questions, and so hopefully it's not too hard to answer, but you said both of you are seniors this year, is that right? Can you tell us, if you can, about plans after high school? And if you're like, I don't know, still not sure, that's totally fine.
I'm going to be attending Portland State in the fall. I'm going to become a mechanical engineer, so I'm majoring in mechanical engineering, and I hope to have an emphasis in aerospace engineering and ecological manufacturing.
That's awesome.
I will be attending U of O as a poli-sci major, but I've actually been thinking about switching majors to either psychology or nutrition with a minor in business.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing. And I do have one question. So I know that our school district, we've revisited the no cell phone policy, and now we have the yonder pouches, and just heard wildly success stories, right, of how that was going. And so we all had an update on that, I think at the last board meeting or 2 board meetings ago, and heard that that was going really well. So I wanted to ask you directly as students, of course, you don't speak for all students, but just in your experience, do you feel like that's going well for you all? And if so, can we improve that process? Oh, that's not.
On behalf of students, I would like to say
All students,
all
yeah.
of them. I think, honestly, thank you. I think the opportunity for people to connect once again on an emotional level away from screens is a very important one. While many people may disagree with the idea and the concept of a yonder pouch in and of itself, just the ability for kids to interact more so with one another and also with the education they are receiving allows them to better grapple with everything that comes at them post high school.
Thank you.
I also second that. I personally do enjoy everyone having their electronics away. I feel like I can actually have a conversation with somebody, and I can also build my social skills. I mean, I don't really have any ideas on how to improve it. I just haven't really thought about it enough. I'm not sure.
You can always come back to us
Yeah.
if you have any extra input. But thank you. That was what I was curious about. So it's great to hear from both of you on that. Any other board members or other board members? I always look to Director Bauer. She always has really great input.
No.
And questions.
Well, I was just honored to serve with you guys again. And I'm always in awe of your honesty and the leadership that you bring and the voices that you represent. And it was hard for, I think, a lot of students to get there, but I saw you a lot and I learned a lot. And I know that some of you stepped up and you still are stepping up in different ways. Brittany, I know you came to Salem with us and you spoke up and you brought others and you even spoke before that at a board meeting about mental health and we heard you. So, I want to thank you for that, both of you and the other members. Do you think it was worthwhile? I mean, how did you grow from this experience or I'm just curious, and thank you for your honesty and all the input that you've given us.
I always believe that people should have an open mind, so I love hearing other perspectives and comparing from like who I was as a freshman to now, I have definitely learned a lot and grown a lot. And like I really appreciate you guys as well. Without you, none of this would have been possible. And I can't like tell you guys that enough. I really do appreciate all of you guys.
I second that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Vice Chair Vinaloga.
Yeah, I have to admit that the Youth Equity Committee is one of my favorite committees to serve on. I was actually in Brittany's group at the last meeting as we were talking about preparing for this. I think it's just so important. And one thing I want to mention is that it is a very well-guided committee. These kids are looking at data, they're looking at youth truth data, they're looking at and next year we'll be looking at this year's youth truth data. I just think it's so important because they aren't just talking, they aren't just coming to the meeting with complaints, they're coming with ideas. They're coming with the curiosity that they want to learn. And I love that. I love listening to them. And there's some wonderful ideas that pop around that room, and it's coming from all of our kids. And we have 6th graders also on that committee, and it's just amazing that they come together and they really form a family while they're there. And I think that that's so important. And I've appreciated the conversations with you two and listening to your ideas and your suggestions. And I think you're leaving the committee in very good form. And we're excited to see you at graduation. And I'm sure next year, because we've laid a great foundation over these last few years, that next year the committee's going to do very well again. So thank you all. And thank you for coming, taking your time to be here on a board night. We appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Director Dobson, would you like to add anything else or?
Well, now I have to.
Yeah, sorry.
And I didn't want to because I was tearing up hearing about your feelings around the cell phone bill. We're fighting a state level fight right now to make all of our schools cell phone free, and it's just incredibly encouraging to hear your experience and to know that a decision that was not easy for us to make has benefited you, which is always at the heart of every decision that we make together. So thank you for that testimony, and thank you for your hard work on the committee, Brittany. It was wonderful to see you in Salem this this spring, and I wish I could have spent more time with you all in the advisory committee, but it really was a pleasure to work with you both earlier in the year, and I just am really thankful that you participated, that you gave your time, that you were open and honest with your thoughts, and that you advocated not just for yourselves but for your fellow students as well. So thank you both very much, and your guides and mentors too, for all the work that you've done this year.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah. Just want to I only was able to attend a few of the committee meetings when I first was appointed to the Youth Equity Committee, and right away it was some of the best interactions, and one of the best parts about being on a school board is first so far in this term. And I was really impressed with all the students and the leadership of the group. And so thank you all for sticking with it and coming and speaking tonight. And I was also very glad to hear about granted, you aren't speaking for every student in the school, but I think overall the benefits of the yonder pouches and not having the cell phones interrupting the normal interactions you can have with people face to face. I think that was good to hear, good feedback to get. And hopefully it pays off for you guys that are headed off to college, and for the others who remain on the committee and maybe serve again. Thanks very much.
Dr. Williams Rodriguez.
Yes. So as you've heard, it's been a joy and a pleasure, and because they're graduating seniors, they've contributed a lot over the year, and I would say that leadership is not easy, whether you are have practiced at this or not. So I want to present. They are not expecting this. So Ms. Kim and I want to present to Gustavo and Brittany on behalf of the school board as well, and our superintendent. We appreciate your leadership, and there's a little certificate for you that maybe you'll store somewhere or present, to your colleges. I don't know. And then what I know about high school graduations, I know stoles are something that's, I'm going to give one to Ms. Kim to share. So these are the colors of our school district, and we wanted to present these to you. They go on the next, right? So, yes. Okay. Usually your principals and your school administrators. I know it's an honor for the school administrators to do this, but on behalf of North Clackamas School District, we want to say thank you. You are appreciated. We see you. You're valued, and we want you to know that we hear you. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you both again so much. And best of luck after graduation, and please come back and visit us. Thank you. Okay. So next on our agenda is our North Clackamas Education NCEA featured educator, and I now welcome our NCEA representative, Whitney Nash. Hello. And she has a guest with her, who she will introduce. It's okay. Welcome.
And Happy Valley Elementary. Here's what our nominator had to say about her. Gwen is positive and collaborative. She has a huge caseload between 2 elementary schools, but you will never hear a complaint or concern about having too much to do. She makes time for staff and students. She brings a calm demeanor to meetings and discussions. Gwen bridges the gap between educators and administrators, and she has a gentle touch with anxious parents, which is so important. I am lucky to have Gwen on my team. So I will also add that I've had the pleasure of working with Gwen this year as a fellow school psychologist. She is in her first year of practice, and you would never know it from her poise and professionalism. She asks great questions, and she has met every new situation with grace and a positive problem-solving approach. Prior to working as a school psychologist, she worked supporting individuals in residential care for 6 years. She brings her passion for mental health and social emotional learning to her work as a school psychologist. Gwen sees the strengths in all students, and I can just gotta say that she sees the strengths in all students and enjoys finding creative ways to support students in their learning and growth. And North Clackamas is lucky to have her on the team. So it's my pleasure to introduce Gwen to you and give her the opportunity to share a little bit with you about the work she does.
Great. Thank you. That's unbelievably kind. I'm genuinely honored and humbled to receive this award, particularly being my first year in the district, but also my first year as a practicing school psychologist. I was recently reminded when sharing stories and memories of a beloved family member who passed that his schooling experience looked very different from the schooling experience we see today. He did not have the same access or supports to social emotional needs, neurodivergent supports, and his own really life-altering learning disability. My uncle struggled significantly because of this, and it rippled into his adult life. And this has reaffirmed for me not only how far we've come in education, but how important each and every role that we play is. I want to be the safe adult for those kids and be a receiver for them. I'm endlessly grateful to all the educators I work with in North Clackamas, but of all the educators I've had the opportunity to work with, from teachers to paraeducators who are with our students every moment of every day, specialists and administrators. We wrap around these students, encourage them, and cheer them on as they enter the big wide world. And I think we just saw that in action, which was really special. The current climate of education and the world at large is really hard, and I would be lying if I said that that didn't get to me sometimes, but it's the students that show up every single day and greet me with a big smile and a hug that make it really worth it. So I'm really grateful for all of you and to serve this community. So thank you.
Yes, we clap. Well, thank you so much, Gwen, for being here this evening and for for really uplifting our students and, like you said, being that safe person for so many of them. I just wanted to say that as you are lifting our students up and being there for them, to also fill your cup as well. It could sometimes, it could be hard, as you mentioned, hard days. And so just a reminder, self-care. And thank you again for all the work that you're doing. Thank you. Other board members? Nope. Okay. Well, I hope you have a great evening. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our Seth Llewellyn Elementary presentation, and we have a great crew who will be coming up. So I welcome our Director of Elementary Programs, Patricia Aarons, who will introduce our wonderful guests.
Good evening. Every time that elementary programs has the opportunity to come with the school team to present to you, it's a nice chance to highlight all the things that they do every day at school, and tonight is not the exception. So I'm going to let them speak by themselves, but I'm super honored and excited to have the Seth Llewellyn team here tonight to just share with you all the things that they do, and especially how they really and truly live the concept of community in everything that they do. So I let the principal start introducing his team, and then you enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We are super excited to be here to talk about our little neighborhood school. I'm Mason Branstetter. I am the principal, and with me tonight I have Kira Benton, who is our instructional coach, Rebecca Frick, who is one of our learning specialists, and Deborah Corson, who is our PTO president. So to start with, this is our school mission. At Seth Llewellyn, we believe each student will experience a safe, caring, equitable, fun learning environment with a staff that supports academic, social, and emotional success by holding high expectations for each student and themselves. We are dedicated to preparing students to be strong, contributing members of our community by building self-confidence, encouraging academic risk-taking, and promoting a growth mindset. This year, our school has 3 school improvement goals. Our first goal is focused on second grade literacy, specifically the CBM English or Oral Reading Fluency module in FastBridge. Our goal is to reduce the number of high-risk students, thus bumping up the kids that are proficient in reading. But we also have a subgroup focus of students with IEPs, as their current proficiency level is about 12%. So that's an area that really needs to be bolstered and brought up. Our second goal has to do with attendance. We are shooting to have below 30% chronic absenteeism, which would put us above the state average at this point. And we also want 90% or higher total attendance for our school. And our third goal has to do with the Youth Truth Survey. And again, this goes back to what Patricia mentioned about building community. And so on the family survey, we were targeting relationships and culture. And on the student survey, we were targeting relationships, culture, and belonging. There was quite a discrepancy in these 2 surveys. And so our goal was to try to get them to align a little bit more closely, as well as we wanted to be at the district median or above in all 5 of those areas. So our first kind of glows are specific to our school improvement goals. You can see in the graph at the bottom of the screen, this has to do with the first one, reading. And specifically, that's a graph for second and third grade ORF or CBM English. You can see that between fall and winter, we reduced our high risk by 5%, which equates to about 10 students. And we have started bumping students over into the lower risk, on level or above level areas, categories. And the far right graph actually shows that we had 65% of our students with a typical or aggressive growth, 19% with some, and 15% with flat growth. That 15% is the group that we target as we continue to modify instruction and what they're doing, because what they currently were doing during that time wasn't exactly working for them. So that is our goal based on that data. Our Youth Truth surveys, we received those back. There are 6 key categories for students and 6 key categories for parents. We went up in 10 of those 12 areas on our Youth Truth surveys. One of them stayed pretty flat for parents, and we had one for parents that declined a little bit, and that was the resources category. So we showed some substantial growth with students in that area. As it pertains to our school improvement goal, we didn't quite make all of the medians. We missed the relationships with students median by 3%. So we went up substantially in our relationships category with our students, but we missed the median by about 3%, which still feels like a success for us, but doesn't quite make us hit our school improvement goal. For attendance, we 2 years ago had 48% of our students chronically absent. That's a really high number. And we really focused on that by trying to increase incentives for kids to be at school and celebrate attendance. And so last year, we ended the year with 33% chronic absenteeism. So we were able to bring that down quite a bit. We're currently sitting at 32%. And with our trend of attendance getting better throughout the spring, we're projecting that it will be below 30%. And our current overall attendance rate is about 0.5% higher than it was last year. And we're hoping too that pushes to be over 91%, which will put us above our 90% goal. And for the last area, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Rebecca Frick, who is our learning specialist. And she's going to talk a little bit more about some of the inclusive practices and adjustments that we have made in our building this year.
Yeah, as we've, oh dear.
as we've worked to implement more inclusive practices, we've focused a lot on collaboration. So collaborating between general education teachers, learning specialists, our ELD teachers, and our paraeducators. And through that collaboration and really making an effort to provide specially designed instruction in the general education setting to the greatest degree possible, we've seen just kids blossom in ways that I didn't expect before. I think it's really like reinvigorated my passion for teaching. I'm so excited to see the communication increases, the social skill improvements, and just how students in special education really can have meaningful access to the core instruction with some additional support pushed into the classrooms. And I've really appreciated that time has been made to collaborate with paras weekly. We have one of our paras here, Emily. I'm just like so thankful to have her here. And where we're able to really make sure that everybody in the building has an understanding of kind of the direction we're going and what we're doing, and then monthly meetings with teachers to have more in-depth time for collaboration. So
Thank you. I didn't really highlight the quote on the last slide, but I figured it was appropriate for Staff Appreciation Week. It came from our parent survey, so it was a parent that really appreciated our staff and just how much we support kids. This next slide, I'm actually going to turn over to Kira Benton, who is our instructional coach, and she's going to talk about some of our reading highlights.
Hi. We have been talking a lot about focusing on core instruction for all students. And like Rebecca said, looking at more collaborative efforts with our learning specialists, our classroom teachers, and I have been able to work very closely with all teams, but focusing on primary so that we can have students going from each grade level better set up for accessing core curriculum each year. We have been meeting very regularly, it feels like this spring too, and across the year to make data-driven decisions and going in a more instructional-based direction. At different grade levels, specifically second grade, since that was where our focus for our building goal was, Rebecca and I have worked very closely together looking at data with teachers, planning for whole group instruction and small group instruction. Mason has adjusted the schedules so that paras flood each grade level, so there are plenty of adults available for various groupings, which has allowed us to collect data more regularly and have fluid groupings rather than changing every 6 weeks. We've really tried to follow the data of what students need, and sometimes changing every 3 weeks or moving a student from one group to another based on what we're seeing, and adjusting from there based on both who's teaching, what materials we're using, and where groups are happening. We've also had groups happening closer to students' home classrooms. So rather than walking across our building, we have a unique building that we have outdoor hallways. So transitions often take longer when we're going from point A to point B. So cutting down on that transition time has amplified the amount of instructional minutes that students are able to have access to. We've also had a wonderful reading specialist as part of our team this year who has been working closely, oftentimes one-on-one and in small groups. Her biggest group has 4 students, with students in kindergarten through 4th grade who have highlighted significant reading needs. And in our fall to winter FastBridge data, about 75% of the students that she's worked with have either made typical or aggressive growth in their data, and we're hoping to see that trend continue from winter to spring as we're collecting screening data and end of year data. This spring, we've implemented a Just Right Readers take-home book program for our 2nd grade students. We have 14 students participating, which is the most students at any elementary school. And we have books around blends, digraphs, and long vowels that they've already received instruction in class and small group that they have solid that will help them build their fluency as they continue to become more fluent and automatic readers.
Awesome, thank you. Next, just a few math highlights. I know that all of you are aware that we have a new core math program, and the implementation for that in our building is going really well. All of our students are participating in core, including math group centers, adaptation packs. Kira has also been essential in leading our professional development in our building. So every 2 weeks, we either have on-site PD or virtual PD, and that has also gone really well. Kind of new for this year for us have been math lesson walks. And Kira can talk a little bit about math lesson walks.
Yeah, we've had all classroom teachers and our learning specialists participate in 2 lesson walks. I'm going to end up calling them lesson studies just because that's the verbiage in my brain, but same but different. So we've all had access to professional learning around increasing student discourse in math and highlighting what strengths are happening in classrooms for all students and what strengths can be identified rather than just getting to the right answer, and broadening the scope of what it means to be a mathematician in a math class, and really highlighting student discourse and students that are generally and historically left out of math classrooms or further math communities, and to really focus our attention on amplifying student voices in an elementary school setting so that identity can continue as their math journey progresses. And as far as I'm aware, those have gone successfully at different grade levels. People have come back and told me, I got to do this thing in our math lesson study. And I had a first grade team email me while they were at their lesson study asking if they could observe each other teach, because it was suggested at the lesson study. And we made that happen, and they got to, I covered their classes, and they got to observe each other teach and get to see their teammate teach for the first time, which they both had rave reviews about. So we'll continue that.
Awesome, thank you. We also have some highlights for our school improvement goal around building relationships, belonging, and culture. Our first one on there is something that has been at Llewellyn a while, and Llewellyn kind of pioneered. It's our leopard den. It's a proactive way to help kids understand emotions, be able to work through emotions, be able to problem solve. I know that many of you have been to visit that room. We've also had many schools in the district visit that room and kind of establish rooms based on that. It continues to be an amazing success. Next week, I would like to invite you to this. So next Thursday, we have International Day of Families. We used to call this otherwise was known as Multicultural Day, but we've aligned it more with International Day of Families. We actually have families that come in and do lessons on their country and where they're from. And we've partnered with Nelson High School to have exchange students also come and talk about the countries that they are from and some of their culture. I'm kind of excited about it because there's somebody from Germany coming, and not everybody knows my background, but I grew up there for a chunk of my childhood. I might actually show up in my lederhosen, but no promises. We've also brought back monthly character traits as a way to continue just focus of like how to be a member of the community. Perseverance, resilience, integrity, those are all things that we help kids understand what they are and how they apply to being a member of the community. We've been able to have an artist in residence for the last couple of years and use our kiln for the first time since COVID. That has been amazing. We didn't actually even have anybody in the building who knew how to use it. So it was great to have a potter come back and show us. Another way to build community, we have Friday morning meeting every Friday, and we have a different grade level performing at every Friday morning meeting. And they will sometimes do a character trait, they will sometimes do a project from class, sometimes they will just sing along with a YouTube video. So it's pretty cool to see, especially the kindergartners when they're up there dancing. We also, as we came back from winter break, have a continued focus on caring school communities, specifically morning circles. That was an area that we felt we kind of just needed to push a little bit more. As our day fills up, sometimes things get pushed out of the way a little bit. I mean, we really made a focus on re-emphasizing on morning circles after winter break. This next slide, you get to hear from some of our little leopards.
You would not believe your eyes if 10 million fireflies lit up the world as I fell asleep. 'Cause they'd fill the open air and leave teardrops everywhere. You'd think me rude, but I would just stand and stare.
Being kind and not hitting people.
It's been pretty nice. It's a nice school. We have a nice courtyard. All the teachers are all nice. They know how to solve problems really easily. And we have a good counselor. Miss Byers is really nice. All the teachers that I've gotten are really nice. And even the ones that I didn't get, they're nice as well.
Awesome.
I like that the people here are nice and that the activities are fun, and we also get to do a lot of fun things from the PTO.
Do stuff that's fun like recess, drawing, playing games on computers.
Oh, it means to respect the teachers, have fun, enjoy the school, and just be a kid in general. It's pretty fun and okay. There's always teachers around the corner that you can trust, friendly people, kids, there's only there's going to be someone on there, a ton of people are are you okay? You want to talk about it? Stuff like that.
10 million fireflies. Weird 'cause I hate goodbyes. They got misty eyes as they said farewell. And I'll know where several are if my dreams get real bizarre. 'Cause I saved if you and I keep.
The Llewellyn's a great school. I've been here since kindergarten, and they have a sandbox at Miss Newell's class, and it's just amazing. I think you guys should check it out. I like helping other kind of kids out.
It's fun, seeing their happy faces to go, play the games that we're doing.
I like the way that they look up to us. I like helping them understand different games and yeah. I like all the pictures in the school. I like that we get to have a lot of fun with our class, and our school has a lot of nature.
Me personally, I like hanging out with my friends, and I like writing a lot, and math is pretty fun.
I like the way that they teach the education, and mostly the teachers. All the teachers are mostly really nice. I like how nice the teachers are. I like.
And we have a great principal.
All right, I'm going to try to go fairly quickly through the next slides because I know we're taking a lot of time. So one of the things that we've really been working on for my time at Llewellyn is just Pride in Campus. I know many of you have seen our mural. That was a big project for us. It took an entire summer to have that painted, and it was years of planning up until that point. We're a fairly unique school in Oregon. We're a California-style school in Oregon, so we have a lot of outdoor walkways, outdoor space, a lot of nature, and so it takes a lot of upkeep. We are currently have a third Eagle project in the works. He's building picnic benches for our campus. We've had other picnic benches and cleanup projects done by Eagle Scouts on our campus. We've been the recipient of 2 Dennis 7Ds grants that have been thousands of dollars worth of work at our school. They cleaned up and replanted around our pond, which I know is also unique to our school. They also came to our courtyard and fixed our flowing creek and did planter areas and did all kinds of things in the courtyard, and all for grant work, which was absolutely amazing. We have also had many community members, PTO and parents, sponsored through Metro grants to come and do community cleanups. Even just 2 weeks ago, they had an ivy pole in the back of our campus, which many of you know is lots of trees and very overgrown and very steep, and they were going in and getting rid of invasive plants. And in all of that, just under 200 volunteers and close to 1,000 volunteer hours, which is pretty amazing for a school of just under 280 kids. We also this year have had a couple of new community partners. We were picked by Burlington to be their Adopt a School. And so you can see in the picture that we received $5,000 from Burlington. I believe that that's going to be a yearly thing where they will give that money to the Adopt a Classroom program, and then each of our teachers gets an account where they can go in and order supplies. For the last 2 years, we have been adopted by the Office Depot that's just off of 205 on Sunnyside. And within a year, we get basically e-gift cards from them quarterly, but every year we get between $4,000 and $5,000 in e-gift cards from Office Depot to buy supplies. A lot of that money goes towards copy paper, but it also goes to help support students who maybe weren't able to bring supplies, and it also helps us replenish those supplies. We have a couple of church partners, one that helps with our Backpack Buddies program, which I know many of you, we have that throughout the district or at a lot of schools. We also have another church that monthly brings us snacks that we use in classrooms kind of as an emergency supply for students that don't bring snacks. And at the bottom right there, I mentioned Lunch Buddies already, but at the bottom, this may not be something that you're aware of, but MESA has been a program, I think, since the late 80s. It's mathematics, engineering, science, and art. And we are the only Mesa elementary school in Oregon. And it's an after-school program for 4th and 5th graders that's run by one of our teachers. She volunteers to run that program after school. They will be going next Friday to Portland State to be in a competition where they give them activities that are math, engineering, science, and art oriented. And it's a competition to see how they do. So it's been our first year with Mesa, but it's been a great program, and it serves about 40 to 45 of our 4th and 5th graders. And our last slide, this our monthly community events. I'm going to turn this over to Deborah Corson, who is our PTO president, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we do to pull in parents and families.
Thank you. This is my first year as president, PTO, and one of the things we did when my board came on last year, we started talking with Mr. Branstetter about youth truth survey results, believe it or not. And one of the areas we thought we could help improve was that building a greater sense of community. And so we added an event in our fall called Fall Into Learning to match our celebration of learnings, our end of year event. And we discussed with parents trying to figure out like what they would be interested in having. And one of the things that we learned was that a number of families were unable to attend events that we were hosting, like our Winter Lights and Glow Party, because of loud music, atypical lighting, and things of that nature. So we decided to host our craft and construction night. It's our first year doing it. We had loads of donated supplies, and we set up our cafeteria. That's in the picture here. We streamed calming background music, and we had idea printouts on the tables for people to spark their creativity. And we also know that not everyone can handle a calm environment for a very long time. So we added our gym as a separate area as the high-flying hangar, where we took the office scrap paper and made paper airplanes and we made a range with hoops and banners, and the kids had a blast. And when they were getting too rambunctious in the craft section, we ushered them over to the gym, and we had a lot of very positive feedback from families. Some families I had never seen attend an event came to this one and said thank you, because we haven't been able to feel like we're a part of the community. So I think having those two separate areas really created a successful event. And we have actually had a community building event every month this year. And they've all been really well done. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And we have, thank you, Deborah, and we have an amazing PTO, like just a group of parents that are always there to support us and contribute to those hours every day almost. So thank you. And that is the end of our presentation. So I want to thank you for letting us come today. I want to thank my team for helping out today. And as was mentioned, we have, in the spirit of Staff Appreciation Week, we have several staff members that are in the audience today and a student. And so thank you for coming and supporting us. So if we are ready for questions, if you have questions for us.
All right, we'll go easy on you guys. Thank you so much for being here and for presenting, and all of the intentionality behind the math and the reading and the early literacy. It's just so important, and so thank you for the progress update and also the efforts that you're putting into addressing the absenteeism issue. I don't have any questions, but I just want to comment that I think I was there when the new playground opened like several years ago, and it was like towards the end of the school year, and I remember like Kona ice cream, shaved ice cones, like everyone was just like, it was amazing. Obviously with with the shaved ice, but I think the safe walks to school, like there was just a lot of community partners that were also there giving resources and information. So I just remember it being such a great event, and that was several years ago. So I'm sure now it's even better with all of your leadership as well in the PTO. So thank you. I'm just Director Bauer, would you like to go? Okay.
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. I know it takes a lot of work, but you're doing great work. And seeing the video with the kids, I mean, they're so honest again. The student who said everything was okay, he just got funnier and funnier. So I think he has a career, stand up maybe. But congratulations on the work you're doing with getting kids to school. It makes a huge difference. We know they can't learn if they're not there. What are you doing differently, maybe this year or in the past, year to get those improvements?
It's a lot of communication to start with. So I am sending parent squares home to parents all the time, including it in the newsletter. I just today sent to 20 families who could, based on the number of days that we have left, their attendance could get above 90%. And so I kind of highlighted them and said, like, we really need your support. It's really important that your kids are here. Last year, for several years actually, but last year more specifically, we give attendance awards to classrooms anytime we have a Friday morning meeting. So for the time between classrooms, if they maintain a 90% or higher, they get a certificate, but we also pop a really big bag of popcorn and give it to them as incentive to keep that percentage up. I have also, more as a tier 3 or type thing, I've also started including letters in report cards each quarter for families so that they know what their students' attendance rate is and how many days that they've missed. And it also has information on there about the importance of coming to school. And I feel like that has benefited quite a bit. Our counselor is involved with students trying to set like individual plans for students who might need a little bit more support as they come through the door, might need a break. I know that a lot of students deal with anxiety, either around the number of kids or just coming to school. So we just try to address those things individually, set plans for kids, and at the same time celebrate that we're showing growth and that it really helps kids.
That's great. Yeah. On the math, there was something about adaptive packets or something. What is that? I just wondered.
Oh, So our curriculum is the new curriculum. We're learning about it more all year, but adaptation packs are additional support that help you access the core content. So it gives you recommendations for previously learned or previously taught skills that might be beneficial, prerequisite skills for accessing the current unit that a student is on. So it's a way that we can provide additional support.
Sorry to interrupt you. And that it helps students who were previously removed from core curriculum based on having math needs on an IEP, that they're able to stay aligned with where they're working on as a whole group in their classroom, that they're getting the additional support and prerequisite skills in a small group setting or in class with our learning specialist or paras as part of access to core.
Oh, great. Yeah, and I love that you said students need to see themselves as mathematicians. You know, that was all part of what we told, we're told with this curriculum. So, and the PD, we know that, teachers need that support too. So thank you for doing that. What time on May 15th is your International Day of the Family?
So we will be from approximately 8:40 until 11:30,
Oh.
and there will be 6 sessions. They're about 25-minute sessions. Be prepared for students. They are all over the place that morning. So many of the younger kids will be paired up with their older buddies, and they will get to choose whichever country that they want to learn about, and they get to go. And they have a passport for stamps and stuff. So it will be mostly in the morning, and we'll have recess mixed in there and some break time mixed in there, but they will get to travel throughout the building.
Great. Yeah, I'll try to make it over there. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Vice Chair Benaloga?
Yes, thank you. You get an A+ for the fancy flip of your slides. I love it. So very nice, nice touch. I also wanted to mention that I noticed, and a lot of people don't, I really believe in simple words, and the word nice is a good word. It's like Mr. Rogers' word, right? It's what he was teaching, to be nice, to be kind. And I think that, I think to have several kids that said the teachers are nice, well, mostly nice, I believe was one of the quotes. Mostly nice. And then, of course, we have a great principal. I think that's really important for kids to feel that the people at their school are nice. That's okay. It's a simple word, and I just think it's so important. And to hear it over and over again from your kids, I think that's a wonderful testament to what they're feeling when they walk in. I did have a quick thank you for asking about attendance, Director Bauer. That's a wonderful improvement, and I know that you want to go further, and I'm excited to hear what ends up happening by the end of the year. I had a quick question about the Just Right readers. Am I understanding that right, that they're sent home? Okay. And then what kind of support are the parents and the students getting to understand what to do with those at home?
Yes, so this originally came from Carrie Tunstall and the first grade literacy team. And because we have a cohort of second grade students that have data to show that they have similar needs, I was connected with Carrie to have this happen. And she is making a flyer that goes home with the books. They get 5 books every 2 weeks. So from the time it started in April to the end of the year, they get 30 books. And it's staggered with knowing that time is a valuable thing and not always available every single night. There's a flyer that goes with it about what the focus is on. So I'm getting ready to send home the second round of digraphs. It talks about what is a digraph, which is a very good word to define. What are some high frequency words, some quotes that you can say to coach your reader along. On all of the Just Right books, there's a QR code to scan that has a video explanation for families just to use with their phone. The books are really small, and we have had so many kids like skipping in to my room to tell me they're ready for the next set of books. Students that we have not seen feel like readers for the whole year. And as soon as it started, we're kind of like gruff about having to take home books, and they're like, I don't need any. And I was like, well, you don't.
And even behavioral improvement.
Behavioral
as
improvement.
a result of like
really huge. And in reading groups who are really having a hard time getting to reading group, whether it was in their classroom or next door, just that access point has shifted in the last 6 weeks so tremendously. Families I'm communicating with through Parent Square, since we have multiple languages with family communication, and they have the printout in both English and Spanish for the flyer. There's also a spot on there about how to celebrate your student once they read the book 5 times, because part of what we're trying to do is build the fluency. So not just read it once, but read it and try to become more automatic as they're reading, since it's not a new skill to them. It's a skill that they've been working on in class at the beginning of the year and group throughout the year, and that the skill is the fluency piece of it. So I checked in with families after we sent home the first 2 rounds to ask how it was going, and only received positive feedback, and truly seeing so many students come in and ask about books. And I've said, are you ready for the next set? And they're like, no, I have a few more readings to do with it before I get to the next one. And just the amount of buy-in into growing as a reader has really skyrocketed, which has been great to see, because we're using every creative avenue that we possibly can.
And now they get to keep the
and
books?
They get to keep them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
So to have 14 students and
Wonderful.
30 books each.
Wow, that's wonderful. Is there a way to expand that? I mean, in a perfect world, would you have lots and lots, lots and lots of kids taking the books home? Yeah.
I think if we could, yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot. I know every student at our school is going to leave the school year with a set of books. These ones are very targeted to specific phonics skills. A lot of students who are at all sorts of different reading access points have come up to me and asked about, they're like, can we be in book club? And talking about like everyone's getting something different, and there's just a lot of interest. I think that if we're able to have it continue, especially having first graders and second graders, and having that continue on would be awesome. I don't know. I will definitely ask Carrie Tunsil about it, and because I'm sure we're not the only ones seeing success with it.
Excellent. Yeah. And thank you for the presentation and all the information.
Thank you. Thank you again so much, and have a great evening. Thank you for being here. Okay, so next on our agenda, we have board reports. So this is a time for individual board members to share on their activity or activities within the school district every month. And so you can share as much or as little as you'd like. I know that sometimes we have lots of things that we do, and so so we're just, we're a very engaged board. In addition to our board meetings, I know so many of us also wear various hats in the community, and we try to show up where and when we can. So with that being said, I'm just going to call from the order that I have here on my notes. And I know that Director Kemp is also still online, right? Okay, thank you. So let's start with Director Bauer, and then I'm gonna just keep picking on you, Mitzi. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairway. Yeah, our time is limited together, remember?
Yeah.
I'm going to focus mostly on the legislative session and all the work that our district is doing right now to get the message out about where we are budget-wise. And I want to thank our staff and our superintendent for doing a wonderful presentation the other night. I was hoping there'd be more community there, but you and your staff answered so many questions and explained funding. And, I think we're really lucky to be in North Clackamas. And the work that you and your staff has done is amazing. I mean, that we aren't cutting staff, we aren't cutting days. You're dealing with what we have and doing the best we can. And I really appreciate that. And I think I just wish more of the community would tune into that. And if you're doing another one, I hope we can record it and get it out there. It's just so important. we're okay this year, but you did point out we're deficit spending because there are unfunded mandates. The PERS was quite a big increase. We're handling that now, but it's going to continue. So there is room to be concerning. And we have, many of us in the community, students and board members have been down lobbying and the PCLA, and we went down again, Director Benaloga and I, on April 24th, and lobbied again through OSBA. And it's tough, and I know it's tough for our legislators that there's great concern at the federal level. So not only do we need to lobby, for mandates to be fully funded and not carve-outs, but we keep being told there's only so much money. We're all waiting for the May forecast, but these are our schools. These are our kids. These are our future. And I'll just keep fighting as long as I can because our staff needs those supports and our kids do. If we don't take care of our kids, who else is going to do that? I'm going to use this time to say, that I've been doing that for years and we'll just keep working on it because our kids are so important. But the staff, we need to support them too. This is a plea to our community to get online and read what you can about our budgets. And if there's a presentation again about our budget, you need to at least, try to be there or get the recording, and then speak up, write those letters to our legislators, get informed, to not have unfunded mandates. We really want our special ed cap to be removed. It shouldn't be at 11%. We need that fully funded and the high disability. Those things need to happen. But I know there's concern on the federal level, so start talking to our federal leaders too. It's really important. So that's where I'm spending my time tonight. I'll quit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Vice Chair Benaloga?
Yes, and thank you, Director Bauer, for all of your work. And yes, we did attend the OSBA lobby day together. It's good to meet with our legislators. It's good to know what's in the works and what we need to push for and advocate for and fight for and possibly testify for. So it's super important to stay plugged in right now to what's happening in Oregon, and of course on the federal level as well. I also attended, and it's kind of a perfect segue, I attended the Right to Read film. It was so good. It's excellent, with about 200 educators. And the panel was Sarah Pope from Stand for Children, Kareem Weaver, who is founder of the Fulcrum Literacy and was one of the producers of the film. He was the speaker. And then the superintendent of Portland Public Schools. The executive producer of Right to Read is LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, which I thought was perfect because it was amazing. It followed kids for several years, really talked about early literacy, teaching kids how to read, and the science of reading. It's excellent. It's on YouTube. If you can look it up, I highly recommend watching Right to Read. It's a 2023 film. I also, Kathy Harrison, who was our family liaison for the district, she retired, and I went to her retirement party. And again, we have so many people that give of themselves during the day, but also take it home and worry and wonder and investigate and research and do so much on their own time as well. And she was one of those people. So she will be missed, although I know we will find someone wonderful and reshape and maybe even relook at that. But I know we will find someone wonderful to take those places. And lastly, I went to the Foundation Gala the other night. Oh my goodness. The Putnam Jazz Band seriously was amazing. They could have been on the Tonight Show. Now I'm dating myself. They could have been with Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show. They were excellent. And it's wonderful to see such talented musicians. And then the Milwaukee High School cheer team was there. So good. And it was the whole reason of being there was because the foundation gave them the funding to buy the breakaway banner that you can run through, which I believe Curtis Long, our own Curtis Long, got to break through. So that was excellent. I tell you, we have such talented kids in our district, and it is wonderful to celebrate them. And it's wonderful to be there at the foundation where the whole goal is to celebrate students and celebrate our educators and find and able to give grants to teachers for things for their classroom. It's truly amazing. So I was glad to be there. So proud of our super, super talented kids, and watch the film, Right to Read. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move up over to Director Kemp if he has a report.
Yeah, I again have been working out of the state of Oregon for so much of the time, but I was able to attend the presentation investing in tomorrow last week at Saban Schoenberg, and that was really good presentation, a lot of good information, and again, unfortunately, there weren't too many other community members there, but I think the final presentation, hopefully more community members will attend. It was a real good presentation. And when I've been home, I've been able to attend a couple of sporting events just because of my schedule. That's all that it's allowed me to do at this time. So been at least seeing students and parents and at some of those events. Hopefully, I'll get a better chance on my next trip home. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Director Dobson?
So apparently this is the part of the legislative session where I feel like I'm about 90 years old. And I think it's compounded by the rather grim economic outlook that we're seeing both nationally as we get through our first quarter with negative growth, which by some metrics puts us 50% of the way to recession. And then also by our own revenue forecast here in Oregon, which is going to define what happens with every single one of our priorities, both in public schools and everywhere else. So we are waiting with bated breath for the economic forecast to come out, the revenue forecast to come out, crossing our fingers at this point that it's flat, because that looks like probably the best thing we could hope for at this time. And then really just steeling myself, as I think other legislators are, to dig in, maintain service for the things that we have funded, and do our best to hang on, because these are troubling and turbulent times that we are entering. And I am so sorry that sounds grim. And I do still feel energized by our Seth Llewellyn presentation, and by the little kid who, was somehow 8 years old and also 50 with like 2 mortgages. Just have that sense about him. And how much we can do, because we've done it before, whether or not we have the resources that we would like. So I will just end with, as vice chair of the House Education Committee, we've done a lot of work this session on accountability, not just for schools and districts, but for the Oregon Department of Education, which by most measures has, in my opinion, dropped the ball, and allowed too many of the districts that are not North Clackamas to fall far and fast. So we're working on those things, as well as our continued focus on literacy and on evidence-based strategies. I'm really heartened to hear that it sounds like North Clackamas is going to get a crack at some summer learning funding, and then I'll be advocating for a different look at how that funding is distributed going forward. I don't think it's fair to target it district by district when in reality it should be targeted at the students that need it most. And I know that we have some of those students here. So on the adequate and stable funding issue that we're always trying to work on, we're going to have to get creative. We are. And that might mean exploring things like statewide bargaining, and I just want everybody to know that things like that are on the table. We know that Oregon has not done a good job of uplifting K-12 education, and we cannot keep doing things as we've been doing them in the past. Things have to change. So we're looking at every option. We're considering every avenue, and we're really looking to our communities and our stakeholders to get creative with us and figure out how to maneuver through this time, which could be pretty lean. So I also want to uplift what Director Bauer said about special education funding. I think both that and our high cost disability funding are, for lack of a better term, completely out of whack. Oregon is an absolute outlier among 50 states in its 11% cap on special education funding. And the way that we have crafted the formula to determine how high cost disability funding is spread around is also just woefully out of date. And those are things that we can look at and try to address with the resources that we have, and just also hold them front and center as we move into the future, because we've had influxes of money before, and those issues have not been addressed. And I'm really happy to report that there are so many education advocates who are now currently serving in the legislature, and are willing to have those frank conversations to let people know that we, parents, students, educators, staff, school board members, and everyone else are done waiting for public education to be in the front seat, to be on the front burner, to be a priority for the state. And we'll just keep shouting it until we get the attention that we think it deserves.
Thank you. And I just very well said by everybody. So just a few highlights for me is just the wonderful information and presentation that was provided in the budget committee just about 2 weeks ago. I joined online, and it's just so engaging and informative to hear speakers talk about early literacy. That's been obviously very happy to hear about the governor also signing a couple of bills this last week to continue to promote summer learning, as well as really increase focus on early literacy. But we also just heard from staff and program teams directly at the budget committee about Measure 98, as well as the connection to all of our different federal programs. And so I just really wanted to appreciate staff for being there at the budget committee, and also for our budget committee members who are all volunteers in our district, who really care about all of these programs and all of these services, and all of our students, and the many ways that all of these programs are supporting our students. And so I know that we have a brief quarterly financial report after our board report agenda. And so lots of timely things that are coming up. And as Director Dobson mentioned, so many people are sort of waiting a little bit anxiously, to be honest, for the May revenue forecast that is coming out on the 14th, where we will know how much will be budgeted in the next 2 years for our state. So And then I had the honor of also going to the North Clackamas Education Grow Your Own, the gala. I forgot, sorry, the theme this year, but it was about growing and gardening and planting seeds, and it was wonderful. And Jen Dove Kiltow did a wonderful job. She was an esteemed guest speaker and talked about her own experience being a new teacher and how she actually was one of the folks who applied for a foundation grant many years ago. And so it was just such a heartwarming story about just the partnership and the strong collaboration that our district has with the foundation. So, okay. Well, thank you everyone for sharing your board report and your activities. And now I'm going to move on to the quarterly financial report that I alluded to earlier. And I welcome our Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt McCara.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to share some highlights for the financial report for the quarter ending March 31st, 2025. Our projected ending fund balance for 24-25 is currently forecasted at $71.2 million, or approximately 20.3% of revenue. Our forecasted revenue has been increased by a total of $6.7 million from a combination of factors. $4.9 million of that is an increase to the state school fund revenue as a result of updated enrollment and teacher experience numbers. $1.5 million is an increase to interest on investments resulting from additional investment opportunities, and $200,000 increase to high-cost disability through identifying more expenses that are subject to reimbursement. Forecasted expenses have been increased by a total of $7.9 million. This is the result of a net increase of $1.4 million spread between salaries and benefits, purchase services, and capital, and also an increase of $6.5 million in transfers out. This includes an additional $2 million for our PERS reserve and $4.5 million for the Wichita acquisition and improvement projects. These transfers will be included in a supplemental budget that will be brought before the board before fiscal year end. Finally, as part of the financial report, you have the investment report showing the type of investment, maturity date, and the fund for which the investment is held. I would be happy to answer any questions should there be any.
Director Bauer? Thank you.
Thank you for the quarterly report. I do really appreciate that. And remind me on the benefits and salaries, were those some unfilled positions that we had?
That is, yeah, I think
kind of
that's,
remember
yeah,
hearing
that is to a large extent kind of normal vacancies that you would see, unfilled positions and things like that. Yes. Yes, that would be accurate.
And then the purchase services estimate, the 5.3, what was that?
Part of that is a couple different things, and I mentioned them all together because they are kind of interacting with each other. With purchase services, this is the first year that we have substitute costs as a purchase service throughout the entire year. So we're still kind of calibrating that. And also with substitute costs, that's something that we pay as we realize them, and we have fortunately been able to do a much better job of filling those vacant or filling the substitutes when needed. So that's primarily an increase in activity there.
Thank you. I think you told me that earlier and I forgot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here and providing this update every quarter. It's been very, very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we are going to have our health adoption grades K through 12 discussion. And I welcome our Executive Director of Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development, Tammy O'Neill, who will have our guests introduce themselves.
Who's going to steer? You going to steer?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Hello, directors. Thank you for having us tonight. As you know, the Division 22 requires that school districts adopt core material on a schedule set by the Oregon Department of Education. And this year, it was a time in which our school district looked at, examined, and selected for your approval health materials. Joining us today, we have instructional coach Megan Sternberg, we have instructional coach Amber Monday, and we have associate director Rob Holloway.
As we worked with our teachers in the health adoption process, we were guided by the North Clackamas School District core values, strategic points, and strategic plan. Importantly, we focused on student access and inclusion for our multilingual learners and students with other barriers to learning. In addition, we prioritized materials that utilized practices that enhance student engagement and rigorous learning. Selecting age-appropriate, medically accurate, and culturally inclusive materials while avoiding shame or fear-based methods also serve to guide our work.
The K-5 wellness program, students received health instruction for 30 minutes per week. Teachers have access to physical and digital materials to support our instruction, and teachers receive professional learning twice a month, so every other week. Sorry.
Oh gosh, so I'm sort of new to this position of supporting health. This is my second year, so I am still in the learning process, not quite as knowledgeable as Amber here. But our middle school health program, right now students receive a semester of health in 7th grade and in 8th grade, and that's every other day on our 5x2 schedule. They get health instruction in science at this point in time. So they get 10 lessons that focus on the mandated statutes and rules around comprehensive sexuality education, Aaron's Law, et cetera. Right now, teachers have access to physical and digital materials based on our last adoption 7 years ago. So we have Teen Health and Glencoe Health from McGraw-Hill. And in middle school, because of our late start schedule, we have monthly meetings, which I will say feel very, very lucky. I am facilitating science during that time, but I have a teacher leader from Happy Valley Middle School, Megan Adams, who's been my person who facilitates all of those meetings for the last 2 years. And so we feel really lucky there. For high school, students have 2 semesters of health as well, so 87 minutes every other day. Most students take that in 9th grade and 10th grade. There are some students who might have to take Health 1 or Health 2 their junior or senior year, but they're expected to earn 1 health credit for graduation. Teachers, again, have access to our adopted curriculum material from 7 years ago, the McGraw-Hill, Glencoe Health materials, and unfortunately, we don't have late start in high school, keep saying that, but they do get 3 opportunities a year to have professional development. And this year, a teacher from Adrian Nelson High School stepped up to be my teacher leader, but then his wife had a baby. So then another teacher from Adrian Nelson High School stepped up to be my teacher leader to facilitate those sessions while I was facilitating science. So I will say right now, we're in a really nice position of teacher leadership in both middle and high school, since we don't have like an official health person who's not busy doing science. So
We prioritize the use of high-impact instructional methods such as collaborative learning, meaningful feedback, goal setting, and metacognitive skills that align with our High Five instructional professional development, while centering differentiated and sheltered academic learning to meet the needs of all learners. We grounded ourselves in the importance of high-quality instructional materials that support our state standards, program goals, and current pedagogy. And this quote is taken from How High-Quality Instructional Materials Can Drive Teacher Growth. We reviewed all items from the ODE's list of approved materials. In addition, we received one set of instructional materials suggested by teachers and another that was approved at one grade band and not another. We're choosing to make recommendations from the Oregon Department of Education's list of approved materials for the K-5 and 6-8 and do an independent adoption for grades 9 through 12 based on teacher and student feedback and district priorities such as high impact instructional practices and supporting students receiving English language and special education services.
Click a couple times.
Oops.
It's okay.
I see. We use the district's equity lens, prioritizing inclusive and barrier-free materials where each student has access to high-quality instructional materials to follow their own path, learning health standards to their fullest potential. A parent square message, including links to each publisher's materials and a survey, was used to gather family input.
Okay, for K-5 instructional materials, we had a team of 5 teachers, 3 administrators, and 2 school board members that spent some hours looking over all of the materials and discussing if it was still a good fit for our district. We've used the Great Body Shop since the second year that we've had health and wellness as an actual class, so they go to it as a special, like music or PE. We've used it since the second year of that, and it was also the only approved curriculum from the state that meets the new state standards. So it made it a little easy for us.
At middle school, we were not so lucky. There were 3 sets of materials on the approved list from ODE. So we spent 2 full days reviewing those materials. Grateful for Mitzi for joining us for 2 long days of looking at the new state standards and these materials. We had 3 teachers. One teacher from one of our middle schools did not attend because she's retiring. But we did have all the other schools in attendance, and we had an administrator from every middle school and 2 directors, which I will say I received lots of good feedback from teachers. They were so grateful that there were district level directors at those meetings as well. So we evaluated the Live Well curriculum, which was on the ODE approved list, and teachers particularly thought that it was way too technical. The content was very, very high and did not feel very accessible to students. There were also some concerns about the quality of professional development we might receive with those materials. So that one was eliminated pretty quickly. 2 other sets of materials teachers were really excited about and felt like we kind of were in a win-win situation. One was the Great Body Shop, which we use at elementary school. That one was people were enthusiastic about that one, that it seemed very, very accessible. Comes with, the little readers that students get to take home. And then the other set of materials was Goodhart Wilcox Comprehensive Health Skills for Middle School. It's a mouthful. And teachers were really excited about the online materials, accessibility, high interest. One of the cool things about this book was the pictures of the kids are like of real kids, not Instagram kids. So like kids were lots of different sizes, shapes, skin textures, all sorts of things. And that felt really good, especially for health curriculum, which focuses on how students might see themselves. So teachers were able to do some pilot lessons from both of those curriculum, the Great Body Shop and for comprehensive
health skills for middle schools, and actually liked them both, like felt kind of like we couldn't lose. But then as we started to dig a little bit more into the shifts that we need to make next year for teaching health as we increase our PE minutes, that's going to result in a decrease in our health minutes. They really felt that this curriculum would be more adaptable to us being able to really have targeted lessons and not have to buy like a bunch of consumables that we wouldn't be able to use, because we wouldn't be able to teach all of those individual readers from the Great Body Shop. So middle school teachers were unanimous that this was our best option, and really excited about the potential for professional development. Our health teachers in middle school and high school have not received very much professional development on using materials and just how to be good health instructors. And the professional development that they received, even just in learning about these materials, was excellent. So we're super excited that teachers will get a chance to just learn more about how to be really, really good health teachers with these materials. So we recommend Good Heart, I always call it Good Cock Will Heart, that's not right. Good Heart Wilcox Comprehensive Health Skills for Middle School. So that's for middle school. For high school, we also met for 2 full days, and Mitzi was also there for those 2 full days. So 4 full days of middle and high school health. Whew, she's a glutton for punishment there. I really appreciate it. In addition, we had 6 teachers, 1 from every single high school and 2 from one of our high schools. We had 2 administrators come to all the meetings, which was awesome. Again, 2 directors, which teachers were super appreciative of. And as I said, Mitzi. We looked at the 1 set of materials that was on the approved list from ODE, which is called Live Well, and they had really similar feelings that middle school had. Too technical, not accessible. They kind of immediately were like, We had a school suggest that we look at some materials called Health Smart, which was not on the list. It was not even submitted for review by ODE, and we don't know why. Many publishers don't submit their materials for review. So we reviewed those materials, and then after we had the middle school presentation from Comprehensive Health Skills for Middle School, and we were so impressed, we were like, gosh, why isn't that on the ODE list? So it had been submitted and it did not make the cut. But they went through and made changes to the things that there were concerns about. So there were some language concerns around some of their lessons, so they made those changes. So we brought them in to do a session with our teachers and other people as well. And both of those curriculum, again, teachers were pretty excited about, both Health Smart and Comprehensive Health Skills for High School. They both, many teachers went and taught a couple lessons, tried them both out. And it was like this teeter-totter of like, well, this thing is better about this curriculum and this thing is better about this other curriculum. And it was like, I can edit these slides, I can't edit those slides. These worksheets are better, these aren't. So it was a pretty even split with the teachers as to which one they preferred. The cost is dramatically different, and therefore we are recommending Health Skills for high school because we want to be fiscally responsible. This is the more affordable of the 2 curriculum, and again, I think comes with professional development that will be really high quality for our teachers, as opposed to what we experienced with Health Smart. So we're recommending this as well. The other reason I think this might be a good fit is that our middle school and high school will have the same curriculum, which will allow us to do really good, I think, vertical alignment. And so what could have been a K-8 alignment with Great Body Shop now could be a really good alignment for 6-12.
Which is going to be a stronger alignment because Great Body Shop is wonderful for elementary, but I do think that that's their strength, what I've seen,
So we will be looking at professional development for our teachers. Right now, I know Rob and I have already reached out about for middle school and high school when teachers will be able to get professional development for the new curriculum. We do have regular district meetings. I know at elementary, Amber meets with her health and wellness teachers regularly. Middle school, we will meet monthly. We'll have our 3 days at high school. We're going to support them with both physical materials and with digital materials. And then Amber and I are available, obviously, to support our teachers as they implement new curriculum. I'm getting really good at this. This is implementation number 3 for me. So I'm ready to go.
Questions?
Thank you. This is such a great presentation and very informative. And I just want to, I don't have any questions, but I just also want to note that all of our health curriculum is on our website. It's just underscore the transparency for folks to take a look at courses and by grade and what's offered. So I just really appreciate this and the transparency and also the communication that you sent to parents in our district about all of the things that we're doing and how kids are learning about health. So thank you. Okay.
Might as well be consistent. It was intense. and and I didn't make the last day, so I wondered how it came out with the pilots, but that was such a great idea. But you guys did such a great job of channeling, organizing, asking the questions, keeping it moving, and I was just hanging on. I mean, I learned so much. I don't think I've been on a curriculum like this. It was all new, So you did great, but the staff was so focused, and they were doing the work. They were really digging in, and I learned a lot. And you guys just did a great job. And thank you for letting me tag along and ask lots of questions. But I'm glad that it came out. And the pilot was a great idea. So thank you.
Yes, Vice Chair Beneliger.
Yes, thank you. And of course, thank you, Director Bauer, for being there. I know those curriculum adoptions and pilots can be intensive. So thank you for that. I do have a quick question, just because I think, sorry, I think that health is something we need to think about all the time, not just in our 30 minutes or our 87-minute class. So how do we weave this into the day, like making smart food choices, making smart choices about exercise or physical activity, and just knowing how to take care of ourselves even outside of that health class? How can we weave this into our students' day so they can be always learning about their health?
I know we're having an opportunity next year to weave it in with PE instruction with our wellness classes at the middle school. So that is a silver lining of that opportunity to figure out solutions. We have partnerships with our counselors with the Aaron's Law lessons, and a lot of it probably because of Megan also being a coach in this area. We've had partnerships with our science departments because in 6th grade they've had to teach our required lessons. So that is a partnership that we can continue to look into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our middle school teachers in particular are really interested in thinking about how some of the topics can be addressed or reinforced outside of health, especially with that reduction in time at middle school. And I know that our language arts teachers are really wanting more informative and content-based things to read, right, to discuss. So that's something that I think is kind of coming up for the first time as we're going through this adoption process. In science, I think it comes up naturally just because we have certain topics that really lend themselves well to some of these health conversations. But I agree, and I don't think that has been a conversation that's been really intentional in the past. And so I thank you for bringing that up so Amber and I can maybe think more specifically. I also know in elementary with the need to have kids build knowledge when they're learning to read, that they're not just reading for the sake of reading, they're reading to build their knowledge, that's another place we're working on with science and could also work on with health with our literacy coaches.
We do have 2 things. One is that with the Great Body Shop, they get a magazine home that they keep. And a lot of us send home notes encouraging parents to ask their kids questions about what they learned. I have parents that I get to play the dual role. So, I love the teacher aspect of it. But I get parents a lot of the times coming up to me and telling me what their kids have learned and how. Last week, actually, at our STEAM night, one of the parents was like, you know, we keep trying to teach our kids things, and they keep saying, "Oh, we already learned that in health," which was so exciting for me. So that magazine is a nice component that kind of makes it more global for them, right? It kind of brings it into their regular life. Also, because of another committee I joined this year, I found out that Chartwell does something with our cafeteria.
Right.
So I did it at my school, but I was teaching, so I didn't get a chance to go check it out. But they brought in a demonstration, and the kids are talking about that. They're talking about their nutrition. So it was kind of a nice little tie-in there. And in this role, I got to share that with the rest of the team. And I know some other schools did it too. And there's some of the schools that are doing some programs where I'm not quite sure who it is, but somebody is bringing in different foods for the kids to try that they wouldn't normally try. So we're having lots of crossover there, which is good. But it does need to improve.
Yeah, I think social emotional learning, especially as you get, in the older grades, is not a standalone lesson, right? So that interweaving, especially how we have elevated all of our attention on mental health, right, also weaves in. I mean, biology, chemical, everything is all together about how we feel about ourselves. And so those choices and how we unpack those as instructors, definitely as we ensure our curriculum across the content areas is relevant to our students. Those topics about how we make choices, our communities we live in, why we make our choices is all intersected in that, which, right, there's a lot of different kinds of health that we explore through this, because it's what our kids are interested in and what they need that exposure to.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I just think, I think you need to know how to, do your family budget and do your taxes, and you need to understand what high cholesterol means. And if diabetes runs in your family, how do I get out in front of that? Or if high blood pressure runs in my family, how do I deal with that? And I just think it's just so important. It's great to teach kids as young as they can understand and as young as we can, that we do have some control and a lot of control over our health and our health choices, and just so important. So I'm glad to hear that there is some weaving and that there's a possibility for more. I think that's great. And thank you for all of your work. I'm sure these are heavy lifts to figure out which curriculum to teach students. And I'm really glad to see that we are truly looking at the curriculum and not just taking a list and rubber stamping one of those and accepting that. I think that speaks volumes to the kind of people that we have and the staff and the directors that we have that are truly making good choices for the kids that we're teaching and for the teachers that are teaching. And I think it's so important. So thank you for truly looking at them with that fine tooth comb and making sure that we're choosing the best possible curriculum for our kids. I appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you so much again for being here and presenting. This is exciting. Thank you. All right. We have one more presentation on our agenda for this evening. And so now I would like to welcome CARE, which is our Community After School Relationship Enrichment Program. And this is an update as well as a fees discussion. And I welcome Chief of Operations Teresa Neff Webster, who will introduce our guest. Hi.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having us. And I will turn it directly over to our outstanding Director of Community Services, Natalie Whistler, who is going to give us an update about our CARE program and considerations for our pricing moving forward.
All right. Thank you and good evening. I am always happy to have an opportunity to talk about our elementary care program.
CARE stands for Community After School Relationship Enrichment, and this program provides daily academic enrichment, physical activity, meals and snacks, time for mindfulness, community building, and social skills, homework and literacy supports for our elementary students. The CARE program is open from 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. in the morning for the before school program and open until 6 p.m. in the evening for after school. We also provide non-school day and summer programs. So this program is available to our students when school is out and parents are at work. Right. You may hear a bit about our wait list. I know that in our area and Clackamas County on a whole, folks are at a lack of spaces for childcare and after-school programs of all types, and we certainly feel this in our district. The good news here is that we added a new site this fall at Vern Duncan, and you can see here that we've increased our total enrollment from fall of 23 to fall of 24. We added those spots at Vern Duncan with 90 students. We also added an additional classroom at Linwood Sojourner, and then we did see a dip in enrollment at Scouters Mountain as many Kennedy and Vern Duncan students went to our new program site. You can also see that we saw an overall decrease in our wait list, going from 171 students in fall of 2023 to 114 students this fall. So a little bit of progress there, but some sites are still seeing some significant waitlist numbers. Our primary barrier to expansion is staffing. We hired 11 new staff members this school year, and even as of today, we still have 5 unfilled vacancies despite that work in hiring. And here's our expansion timeline. So far this year, we've served 727 unduplicated elementary students just in our school year care program. Overall, we have doubled the program size since 2018. You can see that new program sites were added in 2018, 2021, 2022, expansion of classrooms in 2023, and then a new site added in 2024. That's pretty rapid program expansion to get to where we are. Right. Here's our program financial overview and outlook. It's important to note that the CARE program is funded entirely by student fees. We have no other significant funding source. This year, looking at our financial outlook, we expect to break even financially by the end of the year. But looking at next year, we're facing that staffing cost increase primarily due to the rise in PERS costs. Our staffing cost increase is projected to be about 16%, which is pretty much in line with district increases that we're seeing across the board. And then in our program, 85% of our total budget is connected to staffing. This year, we also saw a significant increase in expenditures for the support of our students with disabilities that have high support needs and require specialized staffing. That accounted for an increase of about $90,000 this year. We're also seeing a steep increase in scholarship needs. This year, CARE provided school year program scholarships to 53 students totaling $225,000. And that was a 34% increase from last year. And we had a similar increase from the year prior. Right. Even with the fee increase that we're proposing this evening, we do anticipate operating at a bit of a loss next year. So we're looking at operating at a loss of up to about $100,000. We'll be able to cover this with the Community Services Fund balance. And I am anticipating that we will need to increase fees again in 2026. Our recommendation is to increase our school year program fees by about 11% and summer program fees by about 15%. We did complete a market study and looked at comparable programs across the area. Even with this fee increase, we will still be pretty much the most affordable option for families in our area, which is where we like to stay. We plan to keep our family and sibling discount in place at 10%. Our last fee increase was approved in May of last year. And at the bottom, you can see examples of the proposed increase. So our after-school program would go from $360 monthly to $400. Right. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you. I do have a question. So, what is the average salary for a care position? Because you mentioned it's been hard to fill positions, right? So just wondering.
Yeah. So our care staff are at a C level, which I believe goes from about $18 an hour up to approximately $22 an hour, with most of our staff falling somewhere in the middle of that range on the pay scale.
Okay.
And I can get more precise information on that.
Yeah, that's helpful, and that's good to know. Just given, there are other, right, obviously competition, at lack of a better word, with other fields, other areas that might also be attracting the workforce that we need to fill those positions. And then Natalie, are you saying that there's the wait list, but the wait list is growing and it's due to there's interest in the community, obviously, to want to get care, but it's just lack of staffing. So we need to basically right size the staffing to bring the wait list down.
Yeah, absolutely. As you could see from the slides, we've been in a pretty aggressive growth pattern, which is difficult to sustain. And as we've opened up those new positions, we've struggled to keep up with that pace. And since 2018, we haven't changed our central support staffing. So we haven't had any increases in kind of the central care supports. So we've expanded, sites, but haven't expanded in other ways. And so we're working through, some of that as well. We want to make sure that as we expand, we can keep our program quality high. That's what our parents are looking for. We're very proud of the program quality that we offer, and we want to make sure that that's what we're replicating, and not something less than.
Yeah, I have so many more questions, but I'll end here. But thank you. Okay, Director Bauer.
I'll follow up with our chair, Wei, so there is competition probably with finding the caregivers. And you're in such a difficult position because you want to pay well, but then the fees go up and you need to we can't go in the hole. So how does our pay compare, do you know, to other programs? And also it looks like a lot of them aren't there anymore, some of them. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, we have seen pretty rapid closure of other school age programs in particular for providers that are licensed on square feet that are available in their facility. Hosting school age kids for just a few hours a day doesn't make a lot of financial sense when you could have, 0 to 5 full time. So we have seen that. We did do a little bit of a study for staff wages last year and found that our wages were fairly comparable to other options. But of course, this is an industry that on a whole is also struggling with staffing. So when I meet, statewide with other comparable programs, this is always kind of the top issue.
So also if rates go up, your scholarship demand will probably go up also. So
yes.
it's just too bad there isn't more grants out there or something, and support from our Clackamas County too in the future. But I did notice Oak Grove had quite, if I'm looking at this correctly, they have a fairly big increase or waiting list. Is that true? If I'm reading this right? I mean, that might be an area for growth in the future. We've made a
Yes.
lot of growth on, the east side because there's more people moving in, but it still looks like there's needs there. And this is something that, enables parents to work. And I was always very grateful for the after-school care program that we had with our kids. So thank you.
Yeah,
for this information.
Yes, Vice Chair Beneluga.
Yes, thank you. You know that childcare is near and dear to my heart. Running a preschool and a daycare at home for 26 years, I know it's hard work, but I know it's so important. I have a quick question, just a little bit about hiring. When you hire folks, do they need to work both shifts or so they can work the morning or the afternoon?
Yes, all of our vacancies are for the afternoon program.
Okay.
Our morning program positions tend to be filled quickly. Those are 2-hour positions that pair really well with a 6-hour day for a paraeducator.
Okay.
And so those positions are much easier to fill.
And then do you have any idea, and you may not, do you know how much does it cost for you to onboard new employees? Do you know what it costs you to hire new people and train new people?
That's a great question. I could pull together that cost because we do have a set onboarding program.
Okay. I would love to learn a little bit more about that. And I know just letting our community, before the pandemic, childcare was already challenging in Clackamas County. And with the pandemic, so many providers found other jobs and never went back to providing home, even in-home providers, let alone centers that maybe even closed during that time. So I know it's just so hard. And I hear a lot of the questions online of people just having the hardest time finding childcare, especially before and after school. I know that's a really tough niche to fill, but it would be good to find out just a little bit more about onboarding because I know that that's costly. We'll do everything we can to let our community know that these positions are there. And I think that that's it's good that there are ways for 6-hour employees to pick up a couple of more hours and to be able to work as well and make that a full 8-hour day. So I think that's so important. So thank you for doing your best to fill those vacancies. I know that's got to be challenging. And thank you for the presentation too, as well.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation and the update. And now we have our last item on the agenda for this evening. This is a complaint in action. So the board received a complaint about an employee under policy KLAR. Do I have a motion regarding this complaint?
Chair Wei, I move that the board take no further action and delegate to the chair the authority to respond to the complainant.
Is there a second?
Beneluga, second.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Director Bauer and seconded by Director Beneluga. Is there discussion? Okay, seeing none, I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, all those that oppose, please say no. And the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. And there will be a written decision reflecting this vote, and that will be shared with the complainant. Thank you so much, board. We are close to the end of our meeting. And so it is now 8:47 p.m. and this public meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors is adjourned.